When you get cheated on, I know this can be really hard because a lot of times no one really talks about this on what to do when that happens. And so I want us to be able to see if can we just have a real conversation about somebody, just something that nobody prepares you for, right? Finding out the person you trusted, the person you built a life with, the person you promised just your loyalty betrayed you, right? And I think we don't really allow ourselves to talk about this because if you've been cheated on, you know that specific kind of pain. It's not just heartbreak, it's questioning everything you thought was real. It's wondering if you're just wondering if you're losing your mind. It's feeling like the ground disappeared beneath your feet. And everyone has opinions about what you should do, but most of that advice doesn't account for the fact that you can barely breathe. Barely breathe, let alone make major life decisions. So, I'm Samantha. This is Beyond You podcast, and today we're talking about what to actually do when you discover infidelity. Not the saint to size advice, but the real messy human stuff that might help you survive this moment and eventually find yourself again on the other side.
Welcome to the Beyond You podcast, where we have real conversations about healing, trusting yourself again, and building the kind of relationships that actually feel good. I'm Samantha, and if you've ever felt like you're just going through the motions, like you're doing all the right things but still feeling disconnected, you're in the right place. Because here we go beyond the surface, beyond the hurt, beyond the patterns that keep you stuck. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's get into it.
So the moment that changed everything, this is a client story that just reminded me to even kind of do this type of episodes. And I need to tell you about a conversation I had with a client. Well, it was just call her Nicole because her story might be sound just painfully familiar. So with Nicole, I found out her husband was cheating through a text message that popped up on just his phone while he was in the shower, just like that. 7 years of marriage imploded in the time it took to read just 15 words. So when she came to just our session 3 days later, she looked like she hadn't slept at all. She probably hadn't. She kept saying, like, I feel crazy, like I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's real anymore. She told me she'd been replaying every moment of the past year, right? You're really trying to find what did you miss, right? Looking for signs that she's missed. She'd gone through her entire photo album, wondering which smiles were real and which lies. We kind of go through these. I remember even seeing other clients just kind of go through pictures and just kind of saying, was I imagining this? A lot of times she'd call in sick to work because she couldn't stop crying. She'd driven past the other one's house twice, just sitting there in her car trying to understand what this person had that she didn't, right? We start comparing ourselves. So everyone keeps telling me what I should do, she said. But my mom says leave immediately. My sister says give him another chance because all men cheat. My friends are ready to slash his tires. But Samantha, I can barely get out of bed. How am I supposed to make life-changing decisions when I can't even think straight? And that's when I told her something that I want you to hear too. You don't have to make any permanent decisions right now. You don't have to have it all figured out for today. Right now, you just need to survive this moment. Okay. And then the next moment, and the one after that. The decisions about your future can wait until you can think clearly again. Right now, we're just focusing on getting you through this immediate crisis without losing yourself completely. So understand the first 48 hours, right? Because we're really going to break down to this. First 48 hours, survival mode for real. Let's talk about the immediate aftermath of discovering infidelity because that just kind of hits you, right? Because you're in shock and people are pressuring you to make decisions before you're ready, right? In the first 48 hours, your only job is to take care of yourself, okay? Not make permanent decisions, not figure out your whole future, not perform forgiveness or strength or any emotion. You don't actually feel, just survive. Okay. Here's what that might look like. Feel whatever you're feeling without judgment. If you're crying so hard you can't breathe, understand that's okay. If you're numb and you can't feel anything, that's okay too. If you're raging angry one minute and desperately sad the next, that's completely normal. I just want to normalize these things. Your emotions are going to be all over the place, and that doesn't mean you're losing it. It means you're processing trauma. So get physical support for your body. You might not be able to eat, but try to get some water in you. Okay. Your body is in crisis mode, flooded with stress hormones. So understand if you can't sleep, don't lie in bed staring at the ceiling. Get up, move around, put on a show you've seen 100 times that you know there's certain show that you know or movies, right? That you know that just will get you right. Your body needs you to be gentle with it right now. Reach out to your safest person, not the person who's going to give you a lecture about what you should do, but the person who can just be with you while you fall apart. And I want you to be able to tell them what you need. Then maybe it's just to listen. I know a lot of times I don't know what we need, so maybe it's just someone to sit with you to listen, not fix it or try to advise you on something else. You need a witness to your pain right now, not a consultant, right? Okay. Understand if you're living together, because I know some of you guys will live together if it's not, just if it's a marriage situation. It's okay if you can sleep in a different room. Go stay with a friend for a few nights. You don't have to have the big what now conversation while you're still in shock. It's okay to say, I need space to process this before we talk about what happens next. So don't make permanent decisions yet, right? It's the first 48 hours. Don't pack all this stuff. Don't file for divorce. Don't post on social media. We're not saying you don't need to do those things, right? As far as divorce and different things as you choose to do. Don't do anything that can't be undone until you had time to let your nervous system settle enough time to think somewhat clearly. Protect yourself from harm. If you're having thoughts about hurting yourself or them, call a crisis line. If you're tempted to confront the other person, do not. It won't give you what you're looking for. I promise you, it will not give you what you're looking for. If you want to drive by their workplace or check their phone obsessively, recognize that these are trauma responses, not actions that will help you heal. This immediate phase is about triage, okay? Not transformation in this moment. You're not trying to feel completely or make sense out of everything. It's not going to make sense, okay? You're just trying to not fall apart completely while your mind and body processes what feels like an impossible reality. So I want to be able to go into just the mind game infidelity plays that we don't realize. Like, let's talk about what happens to your mind when you discover betrayal, because I think understanding this helps you realize you're not going crazy. You're having a normal response to an abnormal situation. So you can start questioning your own reality. Gaslighting is often part of infidelity. They've been lying to your face while acting normal, right? So making you doubt your instincts when you sense something was off. Now you're wondering what else was a lie, right? Or go into this whole it's just thing. Were any of these good moments real? This happens in ghosting too, but just anything that just feels like abandonment, right? Asking yourself questions like, did they ever actually love me? You become obsessed with details. When did it start? How many times? Like, where did they meet, right? What did they want? What did they talk about? You want to know everything because your mind thinks that if you can just understand the complete picture, it will hurt less. But the details usually make it hurt more. And they rarely provide you the closure you're looking for. You compare yourself to the other person. You're looking at their social media, analyzing their pictures, trying to figure out what they have that you don't. But this comparison is torture because it's based on a false premise. Their decision to cheat wasn't about you lacking something, it was about their choices and character. You replay every moment right? Looking for signs. You're going back through moments or years trying to figure out how you missed it, what you should have seen, what you could have done differently. You're blaming yourself for not predicting something that literally hid from you. You alternate between wanting them back and wanting revenge. So one minute you're thinking about how to save the relationship, the next you're fantasizing about making them suffer. I get it. There's all these things that are going on. This isn't you being unstable. I just want to make that clear. This is your brain trying to process betrayal while still being bonded with the person who betrayed you. You feel like you're losing your mind. You can't concentrate at work. You can't sleep. You can't eat. You're crying at random times. You're checking their location obsessively. I want you to understand on how this happens so you don't feel like something's wrong. 'Cause a lot of times we're having conversations in our head, we're Googling things at 3 a.m., trying to make sense of everything. Here's what I need you to understand though. This is what trauma looks like. Discovering infidelity is traumatic. It shatters your sense of safety, your trust in your own judgment, your belief that the person you loved would protect you, not harm you. What you're experiencing isn't weakness or instability, it's your nervous system trying to process a threat that came from a person you were supposed to be your safe place. So with that kind of betrayal does something to your brain and body that takes time to heal. You're not crazy, you're traumatized, okay? So I want to just tell you that, and there's a big difference there. So now I want us to go to on what not to do, even though you really want to. Because let me give you some hard earned wisdom about what not to do in the immediate aftermath of infidelity. Because these things might feel satisfying in the moment, but make your healing a lot harder. I know where somebody's down because I know, and especially if you're going through it right now, don't confront the other person. I know you want to. I know you want to ask them what's so special about them, why they thought it was okay to be with someone else's partner, if they feel any remorse. But that conversation, I'm going to tell you, that conversation won't give you what you're looking for. They're not going to say the magic words that make this make sense. It's not love. I promise you it won't. Next, I don't blast them on social media. The temporary satisfaction of exposing them publicly will be followed by regret, legal complications, potentially in more drama that keeps you stuck in that story. Your healing needs privacy and dignity, not public, just spectacle in any capacity. Number three, don't make major financial decisions in crisis mode. Don't drain your bank accounts, don't quit your job, don't make purchases as revenge or comfort. You need to protect your financial security, especially if you're considering leaving. Number four, don't immediately tell everyone you know. You need support, obviously, right? I get that. Absolutely. But be selective about who you tell because once people know, understand they will have opinions. And those opinions might press you directions you're not ready to go. Tell your closest, most trustworthy people, not your entire social circle. Okay. Number five, don't try to win them back through performance. Don't suddenly become the perfect partner, change your appearance, or try to compete with the other person. You weren't the problem. Okay. So changing yourself isn't the solution. Don't, number six, don't make them the villain in every conversation. This one is really tricky. Okay. Because what they did is wrong. But if you spend your time talking about how terrible they are, you're keeping yourself emotionally tied to them. Okay. You need to eventually shift focus back to yourself and your healing. Libra number six. Don't rush to forgive people because people say you should. Forgiveness might come eventually, or it might not. But forced, premature forgiveness isn't healing. It's a spiritual bypassing. You're allowed to be angry, hurt, and betrayed for as long as those feelings are real. I know all of these impulses are strong because you're in pain and you want to do something, anything to make it stop hurting. but those actions usually prolong your pain instead of reliving it. If you resonate with any of these, please let us know down in the comments. Share it with someone who needs this because we're trying to get to help more women in their healing journey. Next, you need to ask yourself through this process, okay? When the feelings start to wear off, we're talking weeks here, not days, when you're going to need to start asking yourself some real questions. Not what everyone else thinks you should do, but what you actually want and need. So, first, do you want to try to prepare this relationship or do you want to leave? Understand there's no right answer here, and you don't have to decide immediately. But eventually, you need to get honest with yourself about whether rebuilding trust with this person feels possible or whether too much has been broken. If you're leaning towards staying, okay, because I want you to get both views here. If you're leaning towards staying, ask yourself, are they showing genuine remorse or are they just sorry they just got caught? Okay. Are they willing to do the work of rebuilding trust, therapy, transparency, accountability? Number three, have they ended the affair completely and cut off contact with the other person? Four, are they taking full responsibility without blaming you or making excuses? Okay. If you're leaning towards leaving, ask yourself, what's keeping you there? Love, fear, finances, shame about divorce, hoping that they'll change. Are you staying because you want to or because you don't know how to leave? Okay. Second, what do you need to feel safe right now? Maybe that's sleeping in separate rooms. Maybe it's having access to their phone and location. Maybe it's couples therapy. Maybe it's physical separation. I'm just naming things here you feel is right for you, but you get to decide what conditions you need to even consider rebuilding, and those conditions aren't punishment, right? And it could be for like a certain time period. It depends on just what's for you and for the just use a couple. Third, what does your gut tell you when you quiet all other voices? Not what your mother thinks, not what your friends say, your sister thinks, not what society expects. What does your deepest wisdom tell you about this relationship? Sometimes we already know the answer, but we're scared to acknowledge it. Fourth, if you stay, can you truly work towards forgiveness? Or will you just use it against them forever? I want you to be honest. If you stay, but spend the next 10 years bringing the fear in every argument, using it as ammunition, never really trusting them again, that's not healing. That's torture for both of you. Fifth, if you leave, can you do it from a place of self respect rather than revenge? Leaving because you deserve better is very different from leaving to punish them. One leads to healing, the other keeps you emotionally tied to them through anger. And finally, what would you tell your daughter, son, best friend if they were in the exact same situation? Sometimes we have more clarity about what other people should do than what we should do, right? What advice would you give someone who you love who's going through the exact same situation, who's just going through this? These questions don't have easy answers and don't have to answer them all at once, but sitting with them honestly will help you move from crisis mode to conscious choice. Okay. So, but the main thing here is going to be you rebuilding trust with you. Because here's something nobody talks about enough. When someone cheats on you, you don't just lose trust in them, you lose trust in yourself. You question your judgment, your intuition, your ability to see people clearly. This might be the most important part of healing that gets overlooked because everyone focuses on whether you can trust them again. But what about trusting yourself again? You trusted someone who betrayed that trust, right? That doesn't mean your trust was wrong. It means that they weren't trustworthy. There's a difference between being naive and being trusting. You weren't stupid for believing someone was lying to you, who was lying to you, right? You were operating with integrity. You with this, while they were operating in deception, right? And so your intuition tried to tell you something was off. Maybe you had moments where things didn't add up, where you felt uneasy, where you questioned things, but talked yourself out of it. That wasn't your intuition failing. That was you overriding it because you wanted to believe them, which I get. I understand in a partnership with someone that makes sense. The lesson isn't that you can't trust your gut, it's that you need to listen to it, even when it's telling things you don't want to hear. Rebuilding self trust means honoring your boundaries moving forward. It means when something doesn't feel right, I'm telling myself this as well. When something doesn't feel right, you don't ignore your feelings to keep the peace. It means when someone's words don't match your actions, you believe the actions. It means when your gut says this person isn't safe, you don't need proof. That feeling is enough. It also means forgiving yourself for not knowing. You can't punish yourself for not seeing what was deliberately hidden from you. They put effort into lying, into covering their tracks, into making you feel crazy when you question things. You're not responsible for detecting deception from someone who's committed to deceiving you. Practice making small decisions and honoring them. Start rebuilding your confidence in your own judgment by making choices, even small ones, and trusting yourself to follow through. Like, what do you want for dinner? Right? Where do you want to go for this weekend? What boundaries do you need in your relationships? Practice listening to yourself and acting on what you hear. Work with a therapist if you can. Processing betrayal, especially if um, it triggers old wounds or patterns, is hard to do alone. So, a good therapist can help you separate what happened from the stories you're telling yourself about what it means about you. The goal isn't just to decide whether to stay with or leave the person who cheated. Understand the goal is rebuild your relationship with yourself. You just your trust in your own perception, your confidence in your own worth, your faith in your ability to make good choices in your life. That's the real healing work. So, what does healing look like? Right? I want to paint you a picture of what healing from infidelity actually looks like because I think we have unrealistic expectations about how this is supposed to go. Understanding in no capacity healing isn't linear. You're going to have good days where you feel strong and clear, and then something small will trigger you, and you're back in that initial pain. That doesn't mean you're not healing. That's just what healing from trauma looks like. I think we just kind of really hard ourselves when it comes to the healing process because healing doesn't mean forgetting. You're not going to wake up one day and not remember that it happened. The goal isn't amnesia, right? It's integration. It's getting to a place where thinking about it doesn't make you feel like you're drowning. Okay, so healing might mean staying relieving, and both paths are valid, right? Some people heal by rebuilding their relationship into something stronger and more honest, while others heal by leaving and building a new life. Neither choice is inherently right or wrong. It depends on your specific situation and what feels true for you. Healing means reclaiming your story. Eventually, this becomes a chapter in your life, not the whole story. It becomes something that happened to you, not something that defines you. It becomes part of your journey, not the end of your journey. I need to be able to recognize that because sometimes people just like identify the relationship as that when it's not just that. Healing includes anger, and that's okay. You don't have to rush your forgiveness or understanding. You're allowed to be angry at them, at the other person, at the situation. That anger is protecting something in you that matters, your dignity, your worth, your right to be treated with respect. And understand and healing means different things for different people. For some, it means reconciliation and rebuilding. For others, it means clear, dignified ending. For some, it means staying married but separately. For others, it means co parenting while living apart. There's no one right way to heal from this. What matters is that you're making choices that honor your truth, not just managing other people's expectations of how you should respond. Understand? I know we talked about a lot here. I hope you took notes, got some tea. Please share this with a friend. You're really trying to help women in their healing journey. But if you're going through this right now, I want you to know something. You will survive this. I know it doesn't feel like it. I know you're in so much pain. You can barely function. I know you're questioning everything about yourself and your life, but you are stronger than you know. You have survived every hard thing that has happened to you so far, and you will survive this too. You didn't deserve this. It's not your fault. You being trusting, loving, committed wasn't the problem. Promise you, love, it was not the problem. Their inability to be trustworthy, loving, and committed was the problem. Take your time, feel your feelings, get support, make decisions when you're ready, not when other people think you should be ready. And I want you to remember this is happening to you, but it's not defining you. Whether you stay or go, whether you forgive or don't, whether you rebuild or start over, you get to choose your path forward. And whenever you choose to do it for yourself, not to prove something to them or anyone else, okay? So before I go, if this episode met you where you are, please subscribe and share it with somebody who might need to hear it, right? And know that every week we send newsletters on Wednesday to be able to kind of help you more through this process, connect with you more outside of this. Because I want to make sure that you're getting these tips to make create a authentic relationship with yourself and others every day. So drop a comment below about what resonated with you the most. Your stories help me create content that truly serves this community. And hearing from you reminds me of why this work matters. So understand that you are not stupid for trusting someone who lied. You are not weak for still loving someone who hurt you. You are human and you are going to make it through this. I see your pain. I honor your process and I believe in your strength. I'll be here next week. Talk to you soon.